You are now listening to a member of the Disney Podcast family. Head over to Disney Podcast Family on Instagram to see all the latest posts for this show and links to other great Disney podcasts.
Gurr. Think they're ready for it? I don't think they're ready for it. Small roller Matterhorn. Are you ready to do this?
Let's do it.
Oh, man. Welcome, everybody. This is our first exclusive episode starting off the new show, UnDIZsputed. I am Lewis.
DisInsider.
DisInsider. Thank you for correcting me. As you just heard, that is my co-host, Sean. How are you doing tonight, man?
Brother, I am good. I'm so excited about this. Since you've been part of this, you've always talked about this damn UnDIZsputed show on ESPN. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I've seen clips and stuff of it. But then you said, and like, we were talking a couple weeks ago about Main Street View, which rest in peace, Main Street View. It had a good 8-show run. I mean, it might have been more than that, but it had a good run. It's the shortest podcast I've ever had, but it's all right. But I'm excited about this because we talked about this, and you just jokingly said this would be a great topic for like UnDIZsputed. And I'm like, he's like, maybe season 4 we just kick off UnDIZsputed. I said, well, why the hell do we wait? Why wait? There's no point in waiting. So
that's what I'm saying. I'm Main Street View. I was in Magic Kingdom views. Main Street View. I mean, I think that was the stepping stone to this. Because honestly, Main Street View became a melting pot of all of our shows. It was just deep diving a topic. Yeah. But now we're switching it up. We're still deep diving that topic, but we're deep diving and getting pretty aggressive with some topics that have a love-hate relationship with all Disney communities. And I am excited. I mean, as we hear on Wednesday, I've gotten the title of being probably one of the most opinionated people on the show.
No.
It only seems right to finally put it under one roof and let's get talking.
Let's do this thing. And our main topic tonight, I will say, came from Extra Magic Hour about a month ago when I made a smart-ass comment about, Bob Gurr being a better Imagineer than Tony Baxter. But we'll get into that, and that's going to be our main topic. And we're going to have some deep discussion about that because I got thoughts on that. You always have thoughts, but now I have some thoughts.
You didn't make a comment. You closed out Extra Magic Hour.
I did.
The Tinkerbell was over the castle, and you said, "Halt!
Stop, stop,
yep.
Tinkerbell, stop."
Yeah, you put her on hush mode. It was crazy how you ended that up. So yeah, I mean, we're gonna get to that subject. Obviously, everybody wants to hear. Quick background on what we're doing tonight and every other week for this show. We are going to be discussing topics that are either today, before, in the future, stuff that really has two sides. Of course, at the end of the line, we just want to give our perspective of what we love, like, and enjoy about Disney itself. None of this will be here to bash Disney or bash what their beliefs, their topics, what they're doing, why they're doing it. It's just throwing out if we were in that chair and the responsibility was on us, who do we think's better? What do we think's better? And let's discuss and have an overall fun topic. So while you're listening to this, wherever you're listening to this, like it, subscribe it, add a comment to it. Let us know your thoughts and opinion on this show.
We want to get people involved in this show. Absolutely. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yes. And before we get started, though, we got a little bit of a warm-up debate. And this one was...
But before you do that, I want to do a little bit of housekeeping.
There you go.
A little bit of housekeeping. I want to thank the DisInsider.com because we are the official podcast of the DisInsider.com. We are part of the we are part of the Disney Podcast family as well, which you can find on Instagram, which is a bunch of other great shows. Our Patreons, I don't have the list up tonight. If you're listening, you know who you are. Thank you so much for being our Patreons. Discord Apparel, I don't do it like Sam. I don't do it like Joey, but Matt's stuff is cool. Check out his shirts. Check out his mashups of metal and music and Disney all together. Good shit. We will hear about Getaway today in the middle of the show, maybe after our big topic, or we'll talk about Getaway today because you got to talk about Getaway today. They're the best. And check them out. And yeah, that's it. So now I'm going to hand it back over to you, the L Dog, L Money, L for Love. Let's go. I'm fired up tonight. I've worked 13 hours today. I'm still at work. Let's get this shit going.
Likewise. So yesterday I was at the park. I hopped in the live and I was there for a little bit. And I was thinking, all right, so Gurr versus Baxter. It's a hot topic. But yesterday I was in the park. Matterhorn broke down about 5 times we were there.
Okay.
Small World. Went on Small World. Absolutely love Small World. If you heard me, though, I think it's a very overrated ride. Not for any of the historical reasons, but I think it's overrated. And that being said, these are 2 iconic rides. If the castle was a ride, it would be on top. But these are 2 iconic rides at Disneyland here on the West Coast. So I thought about it.
Well, the Matterhorn's the only thing you see coming down the I-5. You're like, I remember when I was a kid going to Disneyland, you're coming down the I-5 south, you look off to the right, and all you see is the Matterhorn. You're like, holy shit, we're almost there.
Yep. And,
so,
and the Matterhorn has a key piece to one of our Imagineers in tonight's show. And I was like, all right, how can we pre-warm up this? So I have my opinion, but I'm going to throw this at you first. You tear down one permanently. You rebuild one permanently. Which one you tearing down? Why are you tearing it down? I'm going to let you go first before I share my spiel. One's going to go permanently.
You're an asshole for coming up with this. I saw that you sent me this. I'm like, you bastard. That's tough. And you're right. The Matterhorn does have a key part of our show tonight. But with that being said, if you had to tear one down and it goes away forever, we're not retheming or anything. It's just gone.
Gone.
Matterhorn. I'm gonna tell you why.
I'm giving you the mic right now before I jump in.
I'm gonna tell you why. The Matterhorn is obviously. And I thought about this in a few different ways. Matterhorn has been around longer than It's a Small World. This came out in 1959, and almost a Splash Mountain. Small World comes out 62, 63, something like that. So the thing that made me think about this more was the Matterhorn. It does break down a lot. It's old. It's archaic, and you have to. It can't be. There's going to be a point sometime down the road where that ride will be gone. It's head of its class, first of its kind, first tubular roller coaster. The reason Bob Gurr had to learn trigonometry, all that stuff. But Small World is so much more that speaks to the what Disneyland is. Small World was kind of one of the first times audio animatronics were being used. They created those, and Small World is just, then it has the best song and Raleigh Crump. And I don't know. It's tough for me, but if I had to take one down, I'd say take down Matterhorn forever, which kills me to even say that, because Bob Gurr built the Matterhorn, or built parts of it, and Bob Gurr is an amazing Imagineer. But Small World, I think, it speaks more to the history of Disney, because without Small World, without Lincoln, without the idea for the People Mover that came up at the World's Fair, you wouldn't have a lot of different things that are now part of Disneyland. So Small World has more of a, yeah, they made roller coasters in the past, but not the first tubular, blah blah blah. But Small World, you retheme. No, we have to retheme it too. Is that what you said?
Yeah, no. It would just come back more modern, meaning because that's my issue with both those rides, and I'm gonna touch on which one I think should go in a minute. But both those rides are so iconic that they could easily level them out, rebuild it, and add a lot more. Not a lot. I don't want to say a lot more like it's bad, but make it to a point where it's evolving. Mm-hmm. Very much like Pirates has done over the last few years. Sure. Snow White has done over the last few years. Indiana, the most recent one. Right. Those rides can use something like that. Right now, a lot of the revamps are just to keep it afloat. Mm-hmm. None of it has been to really revamp it. And I know everybody lost their mind a few years back when they added the new characters in Small World. But now look at them. Now everyone loves it. They like it. It almost seems seamless.
Well, everyone is like that all the time. Everyone bitches about something. Oh my God, you added something. You added Jack Sparrow in the 90s or whatever it was, or early 2000s. Whenever you add Jack Sparrow, add the Pirates. Why would you do that? Because he's freaking Jack Sparrow from Pirates of the Caribbean. Why would he not be added? Stuff like that. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
So no, absolutely. But for me, I'm the opposite, and I think Small World is one that you can let go of.
Yeah. Wow.
And the reason being is that the way that story is told in that ride could be evolved to something even better. Whether it's Small World themed or not.
Yeah.
But I do think that ride, I don't want to say it's ran its course because Children of the World is very important, but I think that ride itself can be evolved into something today. Matterhorn itself is such an iconic piece, and I'm saying this with the love for both of them.
Sure.
Matterhorn, I think, is one that needs to be rebuilt because of the history it carries with the park itself. I think Small World carries history with Walt and the Imagineers, but I think I say Matterhorn should be the one that gets rebuilt and redone because of the history it has with the park and the park goers. Small World is one of those, but we don't have a Matterhorn in Walt Disney World.
No, you're right.
Expedition
It is the only one. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
That is the
only
one.
You have a Small World in Florida. Yep. You have a Small World. I think at all the parks. I could be wrong. Matterhorn, you do not. Matterhorn should stay for that one matter and that one factor alone. But I think Small World, they have plenty of stories, plenty of Imagineers to build a beautiful story representing something similar. But Matterhorn's the one that should be rebuilt.
That's fair. I'm not going to change my mind, but you've made me think more about it. But yeah, I mean, it's a shitty answer. It's a shitty question to ask anyway. You're going to take down the Matterhorn or Small World? That's a terrible thing to say. It's a terrible thing to put in someone's mind. You know, because they're both so amazing. I mean, if I ever need my back fixed, I go on the Matterhorn. It just fixes it up, and you're good to go. You're right. It always breaks down, and it's just. You know, I don't know. The Small World, I think Small World was close to the end of Walt 2. It wasn't really two. I mean, a couple of years before he passed away, and I don't know. I think about like watching the Imagineering story, and they're showing Walt with all the kids and everyone. I'm like, yeah, okay, and it seems like it has more. And you know me, I'm a huge Walt guy, so it all goes that way. But I don't know. Small World, I think, has a message. You're right. It can be retold, obviously, for sure. But I think it's being told very well. And it's 16 minutes of the most amazing air conditioning you can possibly ask for when it's hot. I mean, how many times did we go on Small World when we were there for D23? It was 3 times?
I think I went on that twice. No. Every day I was there. When I was roaming the parks lonely on Saturday, I think I hit it twice because it was dead. And it felt amazing. Now, for me, again, it's a 51-49. Yeah. But for the topic itself, if I had to choose, Matterhorn is the one I rebuild. Small World, you do something different. Not only that, that's a huge footprint. And for me, being in Fantasyland and Toontown, honestly, I would create. So, you know, in Roger Rabbit, when they go, the Benny the Cab goes and there's other cartoons, I would create a Small World. Now, this is kind of going against the gray zone a little bit, but I would create a Small World using all of your characters you have in your Disney library and showing all their different scenes of them showing care for everybody. Not necessarily it's a Small World song, but almost like the great movie ride, how you go through iconic movie scenes, you go through iconic cartoon scenes of them showing care, them showing love, support, strength, and all that.
I like that. All right. So first topic under our belts for the old UnDIZsputed.
Yeah, now that we got our debate muscles going, we're into the big one. And this one, I'm not gonna lie. I know I had a lot of people vote for me like a week ago. I did share it on my social media. I did text a few people that had multiple counts, so it kind of inflated the numbers a little bit. But right now, I haven't even looked at the story. So let me pull that up while we're getting ready.
I was going to say, because I think it was like 60-40 at one time. And I saw that Courtney from Neverland, Clubhouse, she votes for one with the Neverland and then votes for a separate one with her personal page. I'm like, what the hell?
So right now, I haven't voted, and I waited till right now.
I did vote. So I'm not gonna
I saw that. So right now, it's Tony Baxter with 55, Bob Gurr with 45, and I have a weird gut feeling that that's about the numbers we're going to end up with here shortly. But I'm going to give you the floor, allow you to plead your case for Gurr.
It's not even really a pleading the case. I mean, I thought about this, and I'm like, I could make one statement basically and end the conversation because it's the truth. I mean, and this debate would be over with.
I'm all ears.
And I'm going to start off by saying that comment. Without Bob Gurr, there'd be no Disneyland.
Wow, that is a bold statement.
What did Tony Baxter do? He scooped some freaking ice cream a couple years later.
Okay.
I thought I'm just going to end this. I'm going to say that, and I could walk away, and we'd have like a 15-minute show because if you really think about it, it's the truth.
Oh,
and
elaborate for me.
Okay, I will elaborate.
I'm warming up now.
I will elaborate. So I watched an interview last week. It was with Bob Gurr, and he's talking about how he got his job with Disney. Everyone says Bob Gurr is the guy. If something moves, Bob did it. Absolutely true. 100% true. Bob Gurr was brought to Walt Disney Studios to figure out how to make these Autopia cars, design the Autopia cars. Someone else had the idea. And I will say this, I'm going to back up for a second really quick. Bob Gurr said in this interview that I watched last week, he really isn't an Imagineer, if you think about it. He's more of a support staff to the Imagineer. But I can come up with a great idea, and I can say, Lewis, I have this idea. Figure it out. Which is what Walt Disney did to Bob Gurr all of the time. Bobby, I need you to figure out these cars. Bobby, build this mountain. Sends him a picture of it from Switzerland. Says, Bobby, build this. Sends him a picture of the monorail. We need this, Bobby. Make this happen. Yeah, Bob Gurr didn't come up with the idea himself. Designed a little bit how the way the monorail looks. Came up with the way it would work in the United States. Came up with the first tubular roller coaster ever, which is called the Matterhorn, which I just destroyed literally in our last conversation. But Bob Gurr, obviously, yes, if something moved at Disneyland, Bob Gurr had a hand in it. And my point is why Bob Gurr is more important of an Imagineer than Tony Baxter is because without Bob Gurr, there'd be no Disneyland. It's really that simple. And thank you and good night. And we appreciate you all coming out to our very first episode. I have more I can add to it, but you have to think about it. Bob Gurr created one attraction the whole time that he was an Imagineer. Do you know what that is? I think you know because we've discussed it. Do you know what it is?
Autopia.
No.
Which one?
Oh, you weren't on. Yeah, like no, he did not. He did not create Autopia. It was someone else's idea. He just perfected it.
Okay, what did he create?
The fire truck on Main Street.
Oh yes, yeah.
The fire truck vehicle.
I always forget the Main Street vehicles as an attraction.
Yeah.
I don't even consider Main Street a land. Main Street in Disneyland, it's a time capsule. Like I always, when I'm in, I don't think of it as you're in the land of Main Street. I always think of it as a time capsule. Walt
asked Bob. He said, "What do you think we should get?" He says, "Bob, Walt, we need a fire truck." And Walt said, "Bobby, build a fire truck." So he came up with the fire truck, which is the thing that the very last picture of Walt Disney taken at Disneyland was in that fire truck with Mickey Mouse like 2 months before he passed away. So again, I go back to my original statement opening this up. Without Bob Gurr, there would be no Disneyland.
Interesting.
I mean, interesting. It's the truth.
Okay, so it's First off, there would be a Disneyland.
It just wouldn't be as good.
I mean,
am I not supposed to let you talk? Am I supposed to not talk right now? I don't know how this works.
So. No, you can talk. You can talk. It's your decision. Mm-hmm. There would be a Disneyland, is what I'm saying. Obviously, I'm on Baxter's side. Everything you named, yes, Bob Gurr created or had a hand in and stuff like that. But all the things you named are the worst. Okay. Well,
oh, you are the worst?
Besides the fire truck, everything Bob Gurr has created is the worst fucking thing in the park.
You're out of your goddamn mind.
Autotopia? Really? Let's go do a carnival ride? I mean, get rid of it. Matterhorn is fun if you're there early in the morning or at night when it's cool and you're refreshing and you don't realize that your back is being relocated. Sure.
Oh man!
Even if you want to go to the opposite side of the park and talk about Haunted Mansion,
yeah, let's talk about it.
I'm going. Haunted Mansion, the Omnimover set is amazing.
Let's make it a walkthrough. Bobby says, "No, we don't need to make it a walkthrough. Let's use the mission to inner space. Same Omniverse,
Okay, so and not only that,
I can't believe you're saying this.
They didn't know what they were going to do with Haunted Mansion until Walt passed. Then they did stupid.
Right.
But tell me why Ariel has a better Omnimover set than
newer.
Yeah. And, okay, replace the shells. You know how many times I'm sitting there in order to look up, I have to lean to the side to see those shells are so damn small, it's ridiculous. Now that's not Bob Gurr's fault, but I'm gonna pin that on him. Okay, Matterhorn, nope, okay. Horrible. Okay, and honestly, had Imagineers kept, and this is what I found out, Tony Baxter wouldn't have been an Imagineer at the same time Bob Gurr was an Imagineer. Had the Imagineers that approached him at a college expo event, and I was reading up on this, so Tony Baxter had a design element for Mary Poppins, a ride. Mm-hmm. And the way that ride was going to work is your loading area, you would load onto a merry-go-round. It would then go in a circle, figure out some way to come off the track.
You know who'd figure that out? Bob Gurr would figure it out, not Tony Baxter.
But he didn't. Okay? Right. Nobody has, and I wish somebody would. So, Bob Gurr, if you want some brownie points in my book, build that shit.
He's 93 years old. Don't be doing that. Come on now.
I mean, yeah. All right, I'll give you that one. I'll give you that.
Okay, all right.
So, but how many attractions does Bob Gurr have at every other park?
Okay.
None.
And?
Dude, Baxter's all over Disney parks. Right. Okay. We have some of the key attractions that he either built or had a hand in or designed or whatever it is. Okay. We got Big Thunder. Epic ride.
Right.
Okay. We got Splash Mountain. Yes, it's officially closing now. I'm a little sad. But guess what? The ride layout, the ride system, all that stuff, exactly the same. We're gonna go to we can go to Walt Disney World. We have Journey to Imagination, epic ride. He's got Big Thunder Mountain on 4 different parks.
That's great.
Yep. Winnie the Pooh. I mean, granted, I wasn't a fan that he took Country Bears for Winnie the Pooh, but Winnie the Pooh is probably one of the better dark rides at Disneyland for attraction only. If you're going off attraction, if you're going off historical, nope, it's not competing. But if you're going off attraction, it's a Baby Gap version of Indiana, and it's amazing. Tony Baxter comes in with solid ideas time after time after time.
Right. They're just ideas. Someone else has to do them, though.
I mean, Bob Gurr didn't lay all the tubular pipe.
What's that?
Bob Gurr didn't lay all the tubular pipe.
It was his idea, though. He came up with it.
So Splash Mountain.
Splash Mountain is whatever.
You put Splash. So you're telling me if you put Splash Mountain next to Matterhorn, what Matterhorn will win?
What do you mean put them next to each other?
Like voting wise?
Yeah, I think so.
Really? Oh, I'll take that. I'll take that to Instagram.
I think so.
You want to put lunch on it?
Sure. We can DoorDash. We can DoorDash it to each other. We're in 2 different states. 2 different states. Yeah.
I mean, Bob Gurr has this. Bob Gurr, he's a great Imagineer. I will say that. He is not better than Baxter.
You're blind.
I think the only reason why he even has a potential to say he's better than Baxter is because he has the nostalgia factor to sit there and say he worked with Walt hand in hand. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, but I think Baxter was an employee Nope, I lied. No, it was not. He might have been, because Pirates opened. Let's see, it was, I forgot when Pirates opened, but we'll have to look into that. So for me, my thing is I think Baxter's absolutely better than Gurr for a handful of reasons. There has been plenty of attractions, plenty of interactions. Not only that, coming out of retirement to work on attractions, he is the solid Imagineer over Bob Gurr. But Bob Gurr does have a report card. He has a report card that he can keep with fans, and I think that's why he stays in the fans' spotlight, is because the fact that fans know him. He does the meet and greets. You don't see Tony Baxter in the wild too much. Mm-hmm. Bob Gurr, you can go to the City of Orange, the antique station, and buy a signed Bob Gurr poster. And I think that's why Bob Gurr has the fan vote, is because he's easily accessible. You can go on that and get a hold of his agent. I mean, if they contact you back, you can do it. But you can get Bob Gurr at your birthday party if you spend the dime. Tony Baxter, no. And I think that's why Bob Gurr gets a lot more support that I don't want to say he doesn't deserve, but he's easier. He's more accessible to the average fan.
Well, I think if you really dive into that, that's more of an economic thing too. I think Imagineers were paid a lot more now than they were back then as well. So, got to supplement your income somehow, which I understand and I appreciate that. But
oh, and that right there, I can get a heated debate on Disney not treating their original Imagineers with that type of dignity. I mean, for some of the Imagineers, many of which, like the Sherman brothers we mentioned the show back, many of them got let go on certain eras of Disney and then brought back and stuff like that. So that's a sad part. And I won't put financial numbers next to each other because, that's a whole different ball game, and that's not a ball game that anybody deserves.
And that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate that we're in that. But so getting back to to this, yes, we did our Extra Magic Hour show last week. Mount Rushmore, Tony Baxter and Bob Gurr were both in my Mount Rushmore. They were, neither one of them were in yours.
Oh, we went there.
Yeah, I did. Again, I can still hang my hat on the one comment that without Bob Gurr there'd be no Disneyland. So then, in essence, there'd be no Tony Baxter. Because I don't know if Disneyland would be as successful as it was without Bob Gurr's hand in the beginning of the park when it opened, making sure everything worked. Because he was everywhere. He made sure the Autopia worked. They had 40 cars when they started. They were down to 3 cars by the first week that worked. He had to fix all those cars. He was welding on the teacups, fixing Dumbo, coming up with the idea of the Omni Mover. Have you ever heard the story of how he came up with the idea of not the Omni Mover, but the Doom Buggies? You ever hear that story about the Apple?
I have heard the story of the Apple. But my only issue with that story is there's no. It's very much like what you said of the teacups. Mm-hmm. I remember that piece being one of that pieces he mentioned in Imagineering Story. And the thing is, though, with those stories, is a lot of them don't have any credential backing. The Apple story does, but every time I've heard it, either from him or about it, like on a recording, it's evolved.
You're right. And then,
so I find those ones hard to believe.
No, but okay, that's fair. Also, I made this conversation on our show a couple weeks ago. You walk into Disneyland and you look around. Who has a bigger footprint on Disneyland, Bob Gurr or Tony Baxter?
Now that's an interesting question, and that turns the table a little bit.
It does, because think about monorail, Bob Gurr, Matterhorn. You see it everywhere. People Mover, even though the track is still, the People Mover track is still there. Haunted Mansion, Little Mermaid. I mean, you can just sit here and go about all these things that Bob Gurr had a hand in. Yes, Tony Baxter, and I don't even like talking bad about Tony Baxter because I am a huge ass fan of his. But you walk in my opinion, you walk into Disneyland. There's 2 things that say Tony Baxter: Splash Mountain Big Thunder Mountain. Big Thunder Mountain is one of my favorite attractions. There's more Bob Gurr in Disneyland. Oh, I'm sorry, Star Tours as well, which I have a whole nother, after watching something today, I have a whole nother thought on that. Tony Baxter really didn't come up with the idea of Star Tours. You understand that, right?
Yeah.
It was George Lucas.
No, George Lucas didn't.
George Lucas came up with the idea of a simulator.
Yes, and if we're gonna go anything off some credit, Michael Eisner's son greenlighted Star Tours. He
did. You're absolutely right, because Tony Baxter had to pitch it to him. I'm sorry, Tony Baxter did Indiana Jones as well. So I mean, there's maybe
it sounds like it's coming around.
It's coming around. I'm not coming around. I like them both. I agreed to pick one of these two for our argument here. So, but
I mean, I'm gonna let you know. I'm easily 51-49.
Oh yeah, I'm like 50.5 to 49.5. Literally, it's like that close. But
you also brought up a key point that I will address. Neither one of them were on the Mount Rushmore, and the reason being is because I like both of them as Imagineers. But if I'm going to be honest, and I might change my tune a little bit on this, I think they're both overrated. I think they're both overrated, and I love them both. And I think
Do you really though? If they're both overrated, I mean, I literally love them both. They are on my top my Mount Rushmore.
I mean, for me, and I'm pivoting a little bit on this one, but I think Baxter's better of the two, but I think both of them are celebrity Imagineers, and that's why they get so much love.
Yep.
There's a handful of guys that I don't want to say are better than them or worse than them, but there's a lot of other guys that have put in the work that do not get that nobody knows unless you know of Imagineering. Yep. There's Imagineers today that I think will do laps around Tony Baxter and Bob Gurr.
Oh, absolutely.
But the thing that they don't have to their report card is that nostalgia factor. But it's
2023 to the mid 1900s. So I mean, you have to think about what you have now along the lines of technology. I mean,
but again, though, and this is going to go back to Baxter. I think Baxter does a lot more service to up and coming Imagineers, where Bob Gurr does service to your D23 events. Tony Baxter does a few, but Bob Gurr does a lot more fan service to fans versus Tony Baxter does service to Imagineering. And that's the part that really gets me on Baxter is Imagineering. Not that you can't hear it with Bob Gurr when he talks about it, but when Tony Baxter talks about Imagineering, you could tell he eats, breathes, and sleeps that.
Yeah.
As where Bob Gurr, he eats, breathes, and sleeps the same four stories.
Yeah, I disagree with that. But you also have to think about it. There's a 15-year age difference in the two. They come from different times. Tony Baxter comes into this with more of like the roller coasters, and he helped with Space Mountain, and he designed Big Thunder Mountain. And so, he's right now what more people are. Oh yeah. I mean, he basically designed Disneyland Paris. It was, and I give him all the credit for that. So, like I said, 50.5 to 49.5. And by the time we're done, I'll probably be 50-50. But they're both
coming out already.
They're both so iconic and so good. I disagree with your comment, the fact that Bob Gurr is just the same four stories, because Bob Gurr has stories of Walt Disney that Tony Baxter doesn't. So to me, that's huge. That
is huge.
Bob Gurr is one of just a few people still alive that actually worked hand in hand with Walt Disney. And that's a lot to say. And that's,
it's a lot to say and it's a lot to take in, but does not weigh in on his Imagineering report card.
It does, because Walt Disney told Bob Gurr, make this happen.
And
the ultimate Imagineer told Bob Gurr, here's my idea, you make it happen.
And had the Imagineers, when Tony Baxter was in college,
well, they didn't though.
Moved him up with that Mary Poppins idea.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Walt would have been talking to him too.
I don't think so.
Oh man, I 100%. I mean, if you're not gonna say Walt would have talked to him, if Marty greenlit almost all of Tony Baxter's designs, who was Walt's go-to person and basically talked for Walt? That's Marty. So if Marty greenlit all of Tony's projects, there's a billionth chance that.
Well, I'm not going to deny the fact that Tony Baxter is a genius and comes up with great ideas. And why would you not pick those ideas? Yes. We're just spinning our wheels here at this point.
I think you're at the cusp of saying Tony Baxter's a better one.
No, I'm not at the cusp of that. I will never feel that way because, again, without Bob Gurr, there'd be no Disneyland.
All right, so we're gonna turn this over to the comments after we drop this episode, and we're gonna let them speak on this. We're gonna have them listening. So if you're listening right now, we're gonna put this in our Instagram story when this show drops. You're gonna drop in there for the voting. You're gonna drop Baxter /Sean, Gurr /Lewis. Now, the reason why we're flipping them is to let us know if you listened and you listen to the show. So if you're voting for Gurr, you're going to put Gurr /Lewis. Obviously, I'm going Baxter, but if you're voting for Baxter, you're going to put Baxter /Sean. And that's
Lewis has more family members than me that watch the show and listen. And when Lewis wants to win a vote, he asks all of his friends and family to vote for him. So I can already expect to lose because you admitted it the other day. That's what you did. You reached out to all your friends and said, hey, vote for me. So I beat Sean.
So how can we settle this? Because like you said, we're spinning wheels and we're not budging.
It's not a matter of, I don't know. Isn't that the idea of this? We're supposed to have our own talk. Are we supposed to agree at the end?
No, but it's just,
okay. So
no, absolutely not. We don't have to agree. I just like creating this this ongoing battle between.
No,
us.
I love it, and this
was
this is
you
awesome.
dropped the hammer on us. That was epic.
Well, it's I'm maybe okay. I'll backtrack a little bit. Maybe I overspoke when I made that comment, but I'm still not going to. I will still stand by that. Bob Baxter, Baxter, and Tony Gurr. It's late, dude. I've been going all day.
Hey, speaking of Imagineers, going a little off rails for a quick second. That bracket, if you guys have not listened to the live show last night, I rewatched it this morning, and I was so sad that I didn't get to make that game at the end because that bracket, I felt for everybody on the show when they were answering. Like, when the question came up, Marty Sklar or it was Mark Davis, you heard everybody almost just kind of like, oh, why?
Yeah, and then you had Rolly Crump and Tony Baxter, and I was completely shocked that Rolly Crump beat Tony Baxter. I was completely blown away that happened.
Well, and again, going to Imagineers, you really have the history. I don't even want to use the word experience because I feel some of these Imagineers now have more experience than the previous ones, but it's that history nostalgia factor, which is what makes Disneyland, now Disneyland on the West Coast, makes Disneyland so iconic and why it's so hard to get anything moved in Disneyland because you play that history card and that's going to always win. And that's why. And
that's my whole argument was based on was history. If you hadn't picked up on that at this point.
Oh yeah.
My whole argument for Bob Gurr was based on history.
Yep. And see, mine is always going to be like in the form of an opinion, like, all right, but what if we change this? What if we did this? Right. Not saying we should, but what if?
Let's be honest, though. If we go back that for a second, you're younger than me by almost 20 years. So you're going to obviously pick Tony Baxter because that's more your time and those things from your time. And that's why I'm glad we did this because it showed that, I mean, if you look at it honestly, Tony Baxter is more of a figure to you because that's who you know of is Tony Baxter.
Yep. Even though my Mount Rushmore was Raleigh, it was Marty, Raleigh, Mark Davis, and Joe Rhodes, which is all the ancient cast. But all of them except Marty, and Marty may have done this. But Mark Davis came from the animator side to Imaginarian, sharing with Jungle Cruise, one of his iconic things that he shared. It's just as good, but it could be better.
Sure.
Rowley with Haunted Mansion, Walt, can we do this? Should we do this? What if? We're going to do it. Joe Rohde with Animal Kingdom. If you watch the Imagineer story, it's why did somebody do that? It's just, It's not that any of them are doing it for a negative. It's just a matter of, what if you threw salt in your cereal? What would that taste like?
No, you're
and that's the vision I like. And that's why I think that, because realistically, we're going to end this show and sit there and say, I like both of them. If Tony Baxter or Bob Gurr walks in my office right now, I'm going to scream like a fangirl and be so excited. Because
absolutely.
But I'll even meet you where you're at. I'll give you the half-point slide. I'll go 50 point, what is it, 49.5?
50.5 and 49.5, yeah.
I'll give you the half point that and say that I'll go Baxter, and I'm just going to leave it at that because I think it's too hard to really choose.
It really is. And I knew when we got to the bottom of this conversation, we'd wind up exactly where we're at.
Yeah.
Because we both are huge fans of Disney. We're both huge fans of both these people. And that's what we do here is we find something to bullshit about for 20 minutes and have fun with it. But in the end, we come back to the same agreement. So
and before we move into our third and final topic, I want to play our Getaway Today spot.
Oh, yes. Learn about Orlando and beyond. So.
Well, then if you want to do that, drop that. We'll come back in just a few seconds, and then we'll pick it up from there.
Be right back in about 2 minutes.
Well, hello, and welcome to Let's Get to Know Our Sponsor. Getaway Today has been helping Disney vacation dreams come true since 1990. Whether you choose to visit the happiest place on earth or travel to Orlando and beyond, they want to help you. Need to know the best hotel in the area? What theme park ticket should you buy? Have a last-minute change? No worries. Their travel experts are always here to help. Want to book a cruise and don't know where to start? Hey, they can help with that too. They will help you find the perfect cruise for your vacation, whether it is your first time or you're a well-seasoned cruiser. When you book your cruise with one of the Getaway Today's experts, you will have a dedicated agent to help you every step of the way. They take care of the details so you can have the most fun. Getaway Today has layaway, peace of mind travel, allowing you to cancel or make changes up to 72 hours in advance. You will always have the most up-to-date vacation information, both pre-arrival and upon your welcome. Getaway Today will guarantee the best prices with no hidden fees. And every time you book through Getaway Today, they will donate a portion back to a charitable organization in your area. And so far, over $4.5 million has been donated. So click the link in our show notes to start your Disney vacation planning for more information and the best deals. Tell them Walt's Apartment sent you. And until next time, enjoy the view from Walt's apartment.
All right, we'll be back.
That was a much needed cool off break there. Oh man! Speaking of cool off, so this is going to tie to our third one. I was overly heated yesterday with this Genie Plus nonsense.
Okay. I
am so over Genie Plus. It is a waste of money. It's a waste of time. And I feel like it's the worst experience at Disneyland.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Okay, so, and hear me out. And I don't know if you're a fan of it or not, but I'm going to share. I mean, I like to consider myself a quote-unquote local. I live a couple hours from the park, so I can go pretty often. But I usually buy a Genie Plus just every time we go. Mm-hmm. The last 2 times I've went, I believe I read somewhere that it's like a 2-hour cool-off period where if you book one, even if it's like 4 hours in advance, you just have to wait like 2 hours and then you can choose another one if it may be sooner. I don't know if it's in my app or what, but I feel like I never have an opportunity to like double down on Genie Plus. Not only that, they are astronomically just yesterday by like 10 or 30 or 11, Indiana Jones was already out to like 6 p.m.
Damn.
And I'm like, what? So I scroll down and look. First off, there's not that many rides that have Genie Plus, and most of them were about 2 or 3 hours in advance. Not only that, rides on a Wednesday were still pretty long. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, hold on. Imagine how much faster this line would move if you didn't have Genie Plus. and I'm saying this outside of the financial aspect. I know for the financial aspect, I know it's good for Disney. And I get that.
Sure.
For a fans aspect, and the whole reason why I'm bringing this up is because I want to hear your thoughts, because I think they need to get the fuck around, get away from Genie Plus, Lightning Lane, all of that. It is absolute trash. It does not work. And not only that, I don't need to pay an extra $25 to walk 25 feet into Indiana Jones and say, oh, hey, you're with the regular standby as well. Like, great. It was a great investment. I paid $20 to get 20 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what your view is, but I'm done with Genie Plus. Like, I want my 3 wishes back, and I want to go home.
Are we like getting into this completely, or is this like this topic for starting next week?
No, we'll get into this completely, because we are about Gurr one and Tony Baxter one. We've been debating for some time. I think it went a little bit shorter than anticipated. So
right.
This one I think we can get into.
I think it's worth all the money.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I don't go as much as you. I mean, anytime I've been there, I have not had any issues with it. I've been able to go in and, I've heard it's busier now and they're, blah, blah, blah. But anytime I've ever used it, like when we were all there for D23, I thought it worked flawlessly. We had one person, Nicole, handled all of our stuff. We said, we want to do this. And she had all of our tickets on her thing. Boom, boom, boom. Every time we were able to hit everything we wanted to. Nothing we didn't get to do. $25 is really not that much, considering that if you go to Universal Studios, it's like $150 for the same thing. Now, if it's glitching or whatever, and you're having 2 hour waits, that's not what we experienced when I've never experienced the way you just experienced yesterday.
And that's what I was thinking.
So that's why to me, I think it's totally worth it. And I think the Lightning Lane aspect of it, completely worth it, because if you don't want to wait, because Rise of Resistance is always a 3 hour wait, and you want to spend $20 and do it. If you're there for 3 days and you spend that $20 one time while you're there to do that, absolutely. You spend that money for Runaway Railway, same thing. I don't know what else. I think it's that. Cars, I will never wait in the Cars queue, ever. I never have. I never ever will. I will never wait in that god awful 2 hour, always 2 hour line. I would rather spend the $25 a day for me and whoever's with me to have that capability. Oh, I just finished on Incredicoaster. Do I want to go to Cars to Radiator Springs? Absolutely. It's going to be in 45 minutes. Perfect. We'll hit Little Mermaid on the way. It's just about how you plan it. There's enough. You're right. Everything doesn't have it. And I totally get that. That's not on everything. But it's designed, and I see the way it's designed, that you can do other things in between. So if you're in Disneyland and you say you want to do Space Mountain and you click on it and you have an hour till your hour and a half. Cool. You hit Buzz Lightyear. You hit Star Tours. You hit Autopia. You take the freaking train around the park and get more things in, because then in that hour and a half, you get to ride what you really want to do, but you're getting all these other things in as well. It's a brilliant design. I love the idea. I love the way it's laid out, the way that they tell you that there's this. Yes, it is definitely designed to make money for the parks, which it, from what I've heard, has saved the parks a lot because of billions and billions of dollars that they're making from it. I think it's a brilliant idea. It's a genius idea. Like I said, I've never experienced the way you did yesterday, so I can't say that. I've only ever had good things with it, and I'm completely behind it 100%.
I've bought Genie Plus almost every single time I've gone, and the last 2 or 3 months, I feel like it's one. It is. I've never seen it sell out. I've heard it sold out. Right. I've never been at the park when it's sold out. But I know that when I went yesterday on a Wednesday, and I bought it strictly because I was like, dude, it's Wednesday. It's probably going to already be dead. So I'm buying this to make it even more dead, and we'll ride more. We purchased it first thing in the morning. We got there. I booked Buzz Lightyear for my kids. Cool. Kid wanted to ride.
Why would you do that? So why would you not pick something that's a little more? I'm just curious why I understand you did that because you can. So why wouldn't you get like Space Mountain or something? And then this ride Buzz Lightyear anyway, which is just like a 10-minute wait.
So I booked Buzz Lightyear because we rope dropped Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. So now we'd have to pay the premium. So we rope dropped that. So I booked that because that way, as soon as we're done there, that will be up and ready. We can hit that. And then after
you're one of those people that likes to bounce all over the park.
I don't like to. 3 kids.
I hate that. And anyone that does that,
I am not a fan of that either.
Yeah.
But with 3 little kids, I get that. I can choose my lands. Yeah. So and that's why I buy Genie Plus is because all right, I can book this and like you were saying, go catch other rides. Well, I could book it and then head across the park and use that time to get over there.
Sure.
But recently, times are by noon. Rides are 8 hours ahead. And I'm like, this is crazy. So if I want to try to get on Indiana, I have to bypass the 2:00 p.m. Small World queue because then I need to book one. And if I book one at 9 p.m., I can't book another one until 2 p.m. By that time, everybody else from noon to 2 is booking where they're going.
Yep.
And I wanted to get it. Now, granted, I could wait in line for the hour and a half. Mm-hmm. But the idea of Genie Plus was to help me avoid as many lines.
Sure.
And so once you hit midday, you're really in a battle and picking and choosing which one you want to ride versus having that luxury of saying, hey, I'll book a Genie Plus. I'll book a Genie Plus. And for me, I don't know if they changed it a little bit or what, but Genie Plus, I feel like is when we went on D23 weekend, it was seamless. It was very, we booked this. Once we scanned in, where are we going next?
Yeah.
We did that yesterday. Where are we going next? Everything else was like 6 hours ahead. But yet wait times were busy, but not super busy. So it didn't add up. And not only that, I don't want to get into conspiracy theory, but I think times are being inflated.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, Rise said it was like a 95-minute wait. We waited about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Other rides, though, that had Genie Plus that was supposed to be quick were not quick at all. So this is not quick whatsoever. This is not – it's obviously not as long as standby. So for me, I'm over Genie Plus. I think they need to – They can improve that or get rid of it. They'll never get rid of it. Obviously, it's like
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
But I think they can create more bang for their buck and get more value out of it because right now it's not worth it. I told my wife from here on out, if it's just us, we'll buy it, but we're not buying it no more because it's $100 and I got 3 rides yesterday on my Genie Plus and I pulled a 12-hour day there.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this. If it was $100 a person and you could walk on any ride you want, would you pay it?
Yes, without my kids.
That's fair. No,
because obviously, and that's another reason too, is Genie Plus caters to the E-attraction. I don't want to say E-attractions because Fantasyland is a lot of E-attractions, but like the roller coasters, the big thrill ones. And for kids, like I wish they had like a Disney Junior Genie Plus.
Sure.
But yeah, if it was $100, I'd still pay because then I get to enjoy more. I get to enjoy the shows. And that's the one thing I like about Disneyland is there's so much little things you can enjoy and having the perks of not stressing over a ride because before you can do Disney in a day. Not anymore. I truly believe
I agree.
2 or 3 days to fully take it in.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's how we do this thing.
Oh, absolutely. And so next 2 weeks, Sean, you're up to bat on the topics. I'm gonna throw it over to you.
I got to come up with a topic.
Yeah, I want to see what you got, Mr. Louis. Got all the family votes, so I'm gonna let you.
Am I wrong? Am I wrong in what I'm saying?
You're not wrong,
okay,
but again, you hit the nail in the coffin when you said there's a 20-year difference. It's I run the social media for all my support.
Mm-hmm. That's
so.
Fair. I will come up with something. I will need to think about that because I mean,
if you want to grab a topic, I want to grab a topic. But for our listeners that are listening here, whether you're at the gym, work, driving to work, leaving work, whether you're on the toilet getting ready to wipe, leave a comment wherever you're listening to. Let us know what topic you want to hear. We are going to be talking about topics that are coming up in the parks, in Disney news, things like whether it's Splash Mountain, Reedy Creek, stuff like that, or just off the wall. Oh, that's a good one. that's a deep dive debate. That's pull your gloves off. But if we're gonna do that, we need a special guest, Mr. Blurred Hulk himself, and get him in here to really rip that one apart and really, because I got mixed reviews on it. I'm not for them taking it down. I am for them taking it down, but I'm ready for it, man.
I understand this, and this was awesome.
This was a great show. Until next time, guys, we're gonna pull the gloves off for now and put them back on in 2 weeks.
Oh yeah,
have you here.
Appreciate you all. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Let's go.